If you want to get ready with me with some of the picks from round 7 of the palette roulette, then stick around. Hi there, yes, it is Hélène with her coffee and her dog, because I have a little puppy who is visiting me again as I give her a little ear scratch. I got a request, actually a couple of requests, to see some of my eye makeup application. I guess it's been a while, and so I figured, well, since there is a request, I'm still petting my dog, since there is a request to do that kind of makeup application from a couple of people, I thought that I would do that right now, and it will be the makeup that I'm going to use for a couple more videos after this one. So if you don't like it, you'll have to suffer it or not watch those videos, but I gotta tell you, there's some exciting stuff coming, so you may want to watch even if you don't like my eye look. Just saying, just saying. All right, one little swig of this and we will get started. You will have to suffer me here because this is as real as it gets. I've got my makeup in little bits that I have left. You can see I'm almost done with this primer, so I'm probably gonna make a funny face as I'm trying to get enough of it out. This is the Smashbox Photo Finish Light Primer, and it feels very much like a moisturizer. Gosh. I have to wait for the day I'm on camera for it to be empty. Well, you know what? I'm going to show you exactly what I do when I have an empty. So I've just unrolled it and I'm going to cut it open. Talk about just raw footage. Okay, so here is the primer. I thought I had another use before cutting into it, but I don't. So I cut right through these little makeup scissors. They're actually little sewing scissors, sewing kit scissors, but they work very well in my makeup room. So what I do is, once I have the top open, I cut on each side. So I've cut one side, cutting the other side, and then I cut the back off. And the reason I cut the back off is I want to be able to show you the product empty when I get my empties video done. And so I get to show you the name of the product. Now, this should be, the back should be enough product for what I need. So I'm just wiping everything I can from that back cover onto my hands, and I will be applying it to my face. So there's just a little bit here and there, and that's plenty, I think. No, that is not enough. So I'm going to, and if you're wondering, I've been playing with makeup. So I got some more on my finger, and so now I have one more, see in here, one more application. So let's finish applying the primer, and then I'm actually going to put what's left in a container so it doesn't dry out on me. Like I said, it feels very much like a moisturizer. It was a deluxe sample. I'm very happy to have received it. For the most part, I really like Smashbox primers. There aren't really many that, well, there's none right now that I can think of that I don't like. And I'm going to go right into my CC cream, the cream that I've been using for the last couple days. And so this is the CC cream I'm using. And I use my hands. I don't do anything fancy with application of foundation, CC cream, BB cream, any of that stuff. And then I also have, this is not actually Cover FX. It is a Derma Blend Glow Creator. That's what it's called. And I transferred it into the Cover FX container so that it was easier, because this one has a dropper and I find it a lot easier. So I'm going to open up my CC cream, and it's in the color Light in Smashbox. And I'm just going to put some in here. And that's pretty much what I use. It's not a huge amount. And I have to be careful because there is SPF 30 in here. I know it by heart, but for some reason I have to look. SPF 30. I need to be very, very careful not to put some close to my eye. And then I have the dropper here. I'm going to just show you how much I'm putting. And that's it, one drop. very, very little of that Glow Creator Illuminator. And so that's what I have, and I just mash it into my palms. And I focus most of the color on the bottom half or 2/3 of my face because that is where I need the most coverage. My forehead, just like most people's, not everybody, but most people's, does not really need a lot of coverage. So I just massage in the cream, and like I said, I'm trying not to go too close to my eyes because that's not fun. And if I did get close to my eyes, I will let it happen. I will let you see what happens, and it's not fun. But I think I avoided it. Okay. And I did this when I had a couple of friends over for that makeup application party. I did this application of, in that case it was a foundation with no mirror, to drive the point home that when you are using your hands, you don't need a mirror, because you can just, by patting over and over again, you're very unlikely to get the wrong amount of product in various spots. You can feel what's going on. So for me, hands are my preferred method for that reason. I'm going to go wash my hands now, and we are going to do the concealer and powder. And 2 concealers I'm going to use today. One of them is the NYX CW01 that is going to go on my under eye. During the summer I used CW02, but now I am more fair, so I'm using this one. And then also the Benefit Boing Airbrush Concealer in number 2. And I thought it was kind of funny because I'm really using it right now, and Jen Loves Reviews really roasted this one, I think yesterday. Yesterday, at least when I saw it. You can take a look at her video on that. It's her going back on her favorites, and you'll see on the thumbnail there's Pastel Goth on there, which was interesting to me to hear what she thinks of it now. I won't spoil it for you. I think it's a good video. So all I'm doing here is I'm putting that airbrush number 2 around my nose where I have redness, those little red veins. And nothing too crazy, just trying to cover it up. And I really quite like this concealer, even though not everybody does. But for my purposes here, it works fine. I don't use it under my eye, so maybe that's why people don't like it. It's not full coverage enough, maybe. Not sure. All right, so CW01. And that's it. I don't use too much concealer. Some people might think this is a lot, but I just dab it underneath and across. Not a hair, but my dog has the undercoat? Very, very fine undercoat, and it'll end up fluffing on my face if I've petted her, which I did just as I was starting to film. Now I've got those little fluffs everywhere. And you can probably hear the patting. It's just an easy way of dispersing product. I'm just going to finish on the other side, but being left-handed, sometimes I switch hands. I'm not a big fan of brushes, as you can tell. This works for me, and my hands are great, they're free. And if they work, to me, they're less frustrating than a brush. So why not use my hands, right? Okay, so we have, I think, the concealer done. So now we want to use powder to set. I use 2 different powders. I use one to set my under eye, which is the Hourglass Veil powder. I think that's all it is. Veil Translucent Setting Powder. And I also use, this is a mix. It's Fit Me Loose Setting Powder in 010, and it's also a crushed leftover of the Rimmel Stay Matte that was in cake form. And so they're both in here. And so I'm going to set my under eye first and then finish the rest of my face with this. And to do my under eye, I've got this little brush from Sephora. It's the Mini 55.5. So I'm just going to open this up, see if I have enough powder. Oh yeah, I have enough powder out. That's all I'm going to need for my under eye. Just get enough on the brush, tap it off, and under my eye I go. So I try not to use too many sweeping motions. I do more tapping motions. I'm not trying to pull on my very thin skin under my eye. Okay, that's all I do for my under eye. And for the Fit Me powder, I use a denser brush. In this case, it is the Deluxe All Over Powder Brush. And I'll just get a little bit more powder out from the sifter here, and that's the powder I'm going to use today. It's actually the powder I use every day. I've got a little bit in the cap here that I just dabbed. So I go from the top down and tap as I go. It's really not something that is... In French, there is a saying, c'est pas sorcier. There's no sorcery to it. It's very, very basic stuff. And let me keep going down here and down there. Of course, I'm doing powder and I'm wearing a black top. That's always great. And I still have some red showing through, but I'm not after ultra full coverage here. Just a little bit of CC cream and powder. Once we put the bronzer on and whatnot, there's not that much left to cover. Okay, a little close-up view just to make sure I didn't miss anything big. Looks okay. All right, I'm going to put the powders away and we're going to do some contouring. For contouring, I'm going to use the Quo palette. That was a selection for round 7. As I mentioned, most of the products I'm going to use here are from round 7 of the palette roulette. I'll put the video right here so you can see it. I just picked up some contour powder to just accentuate my jawline. No, not jawline, cheekbone line. Just going to go in a bit more. I do notice that with the ring light, I do put more makeup on when I do get ready with me's than I would in real life, just because the ring light just makes everything look less saturated than it is. So let's just hope that I don't go overboard, but I'll look good for the other videos I'll do, which, well, good. Let's see how this turns out first. Okay, and I also contour my nose, just a little bit on each side. Okay, and I'm not going to bother contouring up here. It's too early in the season. I'm just going to use bronzer, which is where I'm headed next. I had to go up above for my bronzer brush. This is the one I'm going to be using today. It's very fluffy and big, but I really like it for bronzer. So into the bronzer I go, and I'm going to probably have to hold my hair here. Hang on. All right. No, that's going to be too much. I'm going to have to spread it out a little bit here. Okay, now onto the cheekbones. I like a fluffier brush for bronzer because it has a diffused look. It's never too harsh, and you can just progressively pick more up on your brush, and it's just not overbearing. Overkill is, I was gonna say overbearing, but that doesn't make sense. Overkill. Oh, and I forgot one part of contouring that I do, and I think I'm done with bronzing, but I'm going to go back to the contour brush. And this is just the contour brush I got when I purchased the 3-pan contour palette from Smashbox. By contouring just underneath the lower lip, you give the impression that you've got fuller lips. So I like to give myself a little bit more of a definition on my eyes. I'm going to actually start off with the Zero from Urban Decay. Now I would prefer actually to use the Perversion, but I'm trying to use Zero. It's in one of my penning projects. And, oh shoot. Good thing I don't have eye primer on yet. There we go. The nice thing with these pencils is you do have a bit of time to wipe off goof-ups like I just did. And again. I'm trying to do it relatively quickly because I don't want this to be an hour long. And if I keep goofing up, any of my shortcuts will not help, or speed ups will not help the process whatsoever. Okay, there's one side. I'm going to do the other side as well. Oop. As I mess up again, I gotta mess up both sides, right? Okay, I think that will do it. Again, it's Zero by Urban Decay. And so I feel like my eyes are a little bit more alive for you now. So we're going to use two things. This is the Anastasia Brow Wiz in medium brown. Just going to do a little line for you so that you can see what it looks like. There you go. And so yeah, I'm going to do my brows, and I always have trouble doing brows on camera, but we're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna roll with it. And for the purposes of doing my brows, I'm going to use the blush quad as my mirror. Okay, here goes nothing. First, I'm going to brush back the hairs. Oh, and I am in serious need of tweezing. Okay. I usually just use my bathroom mirror, but it doesn't give me as close of a perspective as when I'm doing stuff with you. All right, so here we go. And I'm not hiding what I'm doing, that's good. So I start with a brow arch. It's just a habit that I have. And just based on where my brows are, I'm on the top of the brow bone. So it almost gives me a little platform to guide my brush, and I find that that really helps me. And I have a decent amount of brow hair. I think. I mean, it's not as much as I might like, but I have a decent amount. My brow brush is dirty. All right, let's keep going. I think that's decent. Okay, and toward the center, that's where it gets interesting. So I try to go on the bottom first to give myself a line, and then I start filling upward. Now I have to say that my preference is to use a brow powder with a wax, but I'm also realizing I'm starting to get my hair blonder and every time I get my hair dyed. And what's going to happen is that some of my brow pencils, like this one, is going to be too dark eventually. So I've decided to stop using my brow powder where I have a lighter shade and try to finish my brow pencils, because these things are not cheap and I don't want to waste any of it. And sure, I could hand it off to somebody, but why not use our own stuff if we can, right? I mean, you can make somebody's day, sure, but If it just means you're going to buy something that you could have used, I don't really see the point. That's my opinion. You can think and do what you like with your stuff. All right, so I think I have one looking not too bad. And just not to bore you to tears, I'm just going to fast forward the second one and we'll get on to more exciting things. I was going a little crazy on camera with seeing my untweezed eyebrows. So when I was off camera, I actually decided to take care of the little strays. And now I'm just using this Anastasia Clear Brow Gel to finish up setting the brow. And I think I have a little bit of a sparse spot there to fix. So I usually go back in with the pencil once I've put the clear brow gel in. And I do like to go a second time through because my eyebrows are long and they are unwieldy. I have always had pretty big brows, and these are major tweezed compared to what I had as a teenager. So yeah. Let's go back in with the Brow Wiz to clean it up just a tiny bit. Okay. Just taking a Q-tip and just going to clean up a little bit here. It just went a little bit wild on me. Yep, that's what we're gonna say for today. And it's tacky enough, I don't feel like I need to put more Brow Wiz on. What I do need to do though now is put the primer on my eyelids. And for that, I have my little container of the eye primer, and I'm going to be using this side right here, which is the original Urban Decay Primer Potion. That's what I'm going to be using on both eyes. It does not take a whole... Whoa, what happened here? I got a little bit of the Aqua Excel on. It's a problem with combining a deep and a light shadow, but all right. I just tap it in, just like I did with the concealer, all the way pretty much to the brow bone. It just leaves a tacky base for the eyeshadow to adhere to. And I don't put that much on. I have kind of veiny eyelids, but I don't tend to put on a very opaque concealer. Just gonna add a little bit more. I figure if I've got an opaque enough eyeshadow, it'll do the job no matter how much eye primer I put on. Okay, so there's one eye. I'm gonna finish up the other one. By the way, I went to see The Joker yesterday. If you are into noir type films, I highly recommend it. It's like Marvel meets a serious, deep French movie without the need for subtitles. It's so, so good. My husband and I watched it last night. We went to the VIP movie theater, which I highly recommend. And we talked about the movie the whole way home, which to me is a really good indication of a good movie. All right, we are ready to work on eyeshadow. And I have been, like I said, playing a whole lot. So let me just set this eye primer and then we are going to get into some fun colors. Now to set the eye primer, I'm not so much worried about the lid. I'm worried about more above the crease or into the crease and above the crease. And for that purpose, I'm going to use this one right here called Totally Nude from the Shape Matters palette by Smashbox. This was a palette chosen for round 7. I don't know why I'm repeating it because they were all chosen for round 7. And I'm just going crease and above because we have plans for the lid. It's just slightly deeper than my eyelid color. And this is a BH Cosmetics brush. It's called the Studio Pro number 5. I love this. I have given it to friends of mine, 3 friends so far. And there's a reason. I love this brush and it's $4 US, regular price. I know, so good. Since we're kind of doing the upper lid, I'm going to go in with this one right here next to Totally Nude, which is the one we just used. I'm going to use this one. It's a matte cream color. I'm just going to go on the brow bone with it. Just under the brow we just finished. Both sides. And I'm probably going to do another color later, but I just wanted to kind of set the canvas. And I'm thinking, this is not what I was actually thinking originally, but I think I'm going to go into this aubergine color. I'm going to go into that. I think we're going to do a purple green look today. And what I want to do is I want to do the crease and then I'm going to put some Tarte clay pots on my lid and do some color there. So let's get the crease done. And for that purpose, I'm going to use one of my Sephora brushes. It's just a basic crease brush. I'm going to get the color aubergine onto my brush and let's see how it goes. It's purple, but it's a very deep purple. I've been playing around a lot more with tapping motions as opposed to sweeping motions for my crease, and I like it better. There's a lot less skipping. Okay, that's a good start for the crease. Let's do the other side. Feels like a very, very dry formula. It's my 3rd time using it. Okay, so how uneven is this? Just on the outer lower lash line. Outer lower lid, really. Just a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to go in with that first BH brush. Here we go, and just smooth out the top of the aubergine, or aubergine, however you say it. And just go in with a little bit more color and see if I can just keep it smooth. There we go. A little bit of patience pays off. I'm watching what I'm doing, but I'm actually, one thing I've noticed as I've been paying attention to my cues and how I do my eyeshadow is I pay attention to the feel of the brush as far as where exactly it is on the eye. And I find I'm more precise going by the way it feels as well as visual, but by going with the way it feels as opposed to just visual cues. And I'm liking the way it is looking so far. What do you think? Now, I'm about to go and mess it up. I want to use the clay pots and use some purple and greens, and I'm going to be carving out the inner lid, and probably less so the outer lid, but definitely the inner lid with a brush. Let me get the clay pot and let's get started. You know when you're looking for a brush and it's the last one you can get to in your little brush container? Anyway, moving on. I am going to be using Margarita from the Tarte Clay Play, and I am using this one in part because it is drying up on me and I don't want to lose it. I want to use it as much as I can before it dries out. And so I'm putting it on a small brush, and I'm going to cut into my, I guess, lid, some might call it crease, to try to get a nice base to then put a green eyeshadow on top. But I'm going to just start with the green, and then we're going to morph it into the Merlot color as well from this brand. And so I like this really very precise brush to do this kind of work. And looking down really does help with the precision of it all. And this is really to address a tutorial request for the Eye Magic palette from the last go. This is very, very much the same consistency, these clay pots, very much the same consistency as when it's not dry. This one is dry. As that the cream shadows in that Eye Magic palette. So what I'm doing today would work just fine with those shadows as well. That's exactly how I used them last time I did. I used a blue and a brown as base before putting the shadow on top. And I said in that kind of review video that if I need a shadow look to last me for 16-18 hours, this is the base I'm going to use from now on. Any kind of a creamy shadow base to make sure that my eyeshadow lasts, makes it through whatever it is I'm needing to get through. Now this one is tugging quite a bit just because it's drier. The other ones are a lot smoother, which is too bad because I love lime green. It's just an excuse for me to use it more, right? Before it goes completely dry. Okay, so that's one side. Let me quickly do the other side and we'll move on to the Merlot color. So here I am realizing I'm doing a purple and green look. Those are Joker colors. I am completely inspired by that movie from yesterday. Although I'm going to say my makeup application is better than the main characters. Spoiler alert. Okay, we've got the green base done, and now we're going to go for the maroon base. And I think the maroon base, because I already have the purple base done, I think I can go in with my ring finger and do that one with that other color called Merlot. And here is the other color I'm going to use. It's a very nice deep wine color, and I think it's going to be a lot faster than the inner lid. And part of the reason it was so slow is because it's quite thick and harder to work with because it's a bit dry, whereas Merlot is very, very creamy, and I should not have any trouble putting that on the eye. The only trouble I'm having is my nail. Okay, nice. Very, very pigmented. I'm going to go on to the other side. Just trying to soften that up. It didn't quite work all that well on that side. Let me just try a little bit more. That's a bit of a mess. Okay, let's see if I can salvage this a little bit. I think maybe with the powder underneath it didn't work out that well. Let's see what we can do. Going back into that Totally Nude from the Smashbox Contour palette. It's not as bad on this side, but it's not great either. I'm going to grab this brush again and go back into Aubergine and just see if I can get the edge to be more consistent. That's funny, I used Merlot before and it seemed to be working better for me. And now I've got that kind of a deeper spot there. Okay, I will take that on that side. Okay, let's try again with the Aubergine on this side. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an angled brush and bring the aubergine down onto the lower lashes. And this is the angled brush I'm going to use. Just putting shadow on the one side. Okay, and I'm going to go in with a little bit more of that lime green to soften up the transition. And for that purpose, I'll use my ring finger just to apply a little bit. I don't want to go in with the brush because that's going to be too harsh. So just have a little bit on my finger. It's very dry. I'm gonna have to see if I can get it to revive a little bit with some oil or something. Okay, but at least it's so dry it's flipping around in the container. That's the thing with these paint pots of any sort of type. You snooze, you lose. You gotta use them. Okay, that's the color I've got there. And I think we are ready to put the final shadows on those two areas. And for that, I am going to go, and I think part of the reason it ended up drying is because it wasn't tight exactly precisely on. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to put other shadow on top, and for that purpose, I'm going to go into the Heavy Metals palette. And I am going to use, I think I'm going to go in with Spandex, this one right here. It has a lot of glitter, but I think on top of Merlot it will look pretty good. And that's what that looks like. So let's give it a go. And just a little bit on the lower lashes. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Just a little bit into the crease, and then I'm going to smooth out that line. Don't want to have too much glitter up too high. Intentional gradient, and I'm just going to sweep off some of the extra underneath. And for that, I'm just going to use a flat brush that I know hasn't been used. And I'll swipe off some of the fallout right there. Good, okay. I think that looks all right. And now we're going to do as well the topper for the lime green. And for that, which one did I use to do that effect? Is it Maiden? Nope. Acoustic? Yes, okay. So I'm going to use Acoustic, this one, over the lime green, and it should give me a very nice effect. So putting that on my pinky. Oh yeah, there we go. I tried a bunch of combinations before settling on this one for today's look. I just could not make up my mind. There we go. Oh, got a little bit on the lower lashes. Lower lid. I don't know why I'm saying lower lashes today. Okay, I'm okay with that. So let's recreate it on the other side. Okay, I am really, really liking this. It turned out nicer than I thought there for a while. But I'm really enjoying this, and I think that it is time to figure out what eyeliner and mascara and whatnot I'm going to use. I'm going to pick what I'm going to add to this look, and I'll be right back. Okay, I don't usually do everything on camera, but I think I'm going to do that today. I am going to use the Sephora Classic Felt Liner, a liner I'm trying to pan. I think I'm going to use Ransom on the lower lashes. This arm is so used up. I think that might work. Yeah, I'll use Ransom on the lower lash line, but I'll probably use Zero on the waterline. And I'm going to use Space Dust on the inner corner. It's a very flashy liner. Zero, I'm going to use on the lower lashes. I think that will look good. And Sephora liner. It's getting pretty dry. Okay. And then the Better Than Sex mascara is what I'm going to use. Okay, so here are the liners, and I swatched in the worst place possible. So I've got the Sephora liner, Ransom, Space Dust, and finally Zero. So I'm going to apply these right now. Let's deal with the easiest one first. So Space Dust on the inner corner. It's just extra bling. It's a bit lighter than Space Cowboy, but it's out there. All right, I like it. It's very, very buttery. Then the Zero on the lower lash line, waterline. And I'm going to tie all these together with Ransom. Interesting to do this with one hand, I have to say. But Urban Decay liners are very buttery and it's easy to do if you don't have two hands free or if you just can only use one hand. It barely went too far. these. I've heard they dry out, but I haven't had that experience yet. Okay, so that lower lash line is very dramatic right now, but I don't have my upper lash line done. And we are going to fix that right now. And it is very tough for me to do upper lash line, so bear with me. I have to keep dabbing on my hand. I just find that the liner doesn't come through easily enough for me. And I'm not going to do a wing, I'm just going to follow my upper lashes. So what do you think? Wicked meets Joker? If you don't know what I'm talking about, Wicked is a musical. It's been all over the world. Whoops. Little blob in the corner there. That's all right. We can fix it. We can fix it. I'm running out of patience for the liner, can you tell? The more dramatic the look, the less I'm concerned about a dramatic line. Figured all just goes together. I did get a little bit too much in the corner here. Oh well, that's what it's going to be, because I was lacking patience. And mascara is the last little bit, and I will need a mirror, because I don't think you want me leaning into the camera. And so there we go. And we are going to do blush and highlighter at the end. I did not forget about those yet. As if I was planning on forgetting about them. And I have some fallout. I'll be brushing those little bits off once I'm done mascara. Like I said, this is the Better Than Sex mascara. I refuse to pay 30 bucks for a mascara, but I received it as part of the Sex on the Peach collection from Too Faced, and it turned out to be no more expensive on a unit by unit basis for the whole kit than the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. And my battery's angry with me, so let me just switch it out. It's one of those days. I didn't realize I didn't start filming again. And so let me just tell you, I went and plugged in the battery to start charging it again, my spare battery. And I came back to start filming for you again. And I took a dive. I slid, so I'm wearing very slippery socks. I slid right under this ring light. Whoop! And luckily didn't hurt myself. But I really wish I had been filming. But how can you film it when you haven't replaced the battery? Because that would have been really funny for my blooper reel. Holy cow, that was quite, I mean, I was sitting there laughing on my butt on the floor. Okay, we are almost done. I'm kind of liking this, and as a matter of fact, I think this looks, I think this look merits lower mascara, lower lashes mascara. So I'm going to put this away and take out my Annabelle. And this is my Annabelle mascara. It's called the Skinny Mascara, and the wand is great for lower lashes because it's just not such a big wand that you feel like you're going to get mascara all over the place. And like I said, I just pinch the ends of my lashes when they're too long. So other side. I've given this mascara out to a few people because what a discovery it was. It was Drea CN who told me about it, well, told her audience about it, of which I was one person in her audience. And when I saw it went on sale, ridiculously cheap, I picked it up and I was not disappointed. Okay, so we need a little blush and a little highlighter. Again, this is the Annabelle Skinny. It's a Canadian brand. I'm going to use my Smashbox blush brush, and what are we thinking? If I had put a little bit of pink up above, I would have gone for this kind of bubblegum pink, but I think I'm going to go with this one, which I think is Breeze. Yeah, Breeze. That's the one I'm going to go with. And I really enjoy this blush brush. It came as part of a whole kit of Smashbox brushes that I picked up last year, and I'm very happy I did. And here we go. Now, I would not pay retail for these brushes, I gotta just say. If you can get them 50% off, I think they're worth it, but they are not worth full price, in my opinion. Okay, so there's one side. Okay, so we've got the blush on, and the last thing we need to do is highlighter and setting spray. This highlighter is so small, I keep misplacing it. It is the What's Up from Benefit, and I am panning this highlighter. Well, at least using it more. I'm not saying that I'm going to finish it necessarily, but I am using it more. And I just put it on my finger and then tap onto my cheek. Oh, cheekbone. So I start off with one finger, and then once I have it relatively spread out, I go in with the second finger and then finally just brush it along because it is a cream to powder. It starts off as cream and then kind of transforms as it dries into powder. I didn't even realize it. My eye look really matches my nails today. Julie would be proud. Are you proud, Julie? There we go. Okay, so I think that looks good. And whatever's left on my index, my ring finger, I put on the bridge of my nose. Just for a little highlight. And then I put a little bit more going back into the product on my Cupid's bow. So two more things to do. I want to do one more sweep with the brush for any fallout. And I also want to use the Guerlain Météorite. This little guy, which is a finishing powder that I am trying to be better about using. These little pearls. Oops, I lost one. Okay, I just put my brush right in and then just nicely sweep across my face to do a little bit more illumination. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. Okay, For lips, I just reapplied this Marc Jacobs Enamored gloss in Pretty Thing. Just something very simple because my eye look is, well, bam. And I'm about to put on the Peach Mist by Too Faced, and I have to shake it. And I just do that in the T-zone because that's the only place I get oily. It's very peachy. And then periphery of my face, I'm going to use the Joe Fresh Prep and Prime Fresh and Go Hydrating Spray. It's a long title. Shake it, and here we go. I should do this one first before the Peach Mist because it does not smell good. If you want to see more on my setting spray video, I have here, I went over a ton of setting sprays, pros and cons of each, and these got wildly different reviews. I can tell you that. All right, so those are the last products for you. I hope you enjoyed this, I guess, sort of tutorial, sort of get ready with me because I was a bit of a goofball. I hope you enjoyed the look I created today, just seeing how I put it together, and really what I did on camera is pretty much how I do my makeup. Off camera, there was not all that much more. I think that I was more deliberate in showing how I was doing things as opposed to being, you know, just on my own, not having the opportunity to talk to anyone. But let me know if you feel like I didn't explain or need to go a little bit more in more thorough detail on any of the steps in the comments. I would appreciate it. Please let me know what you think. What do you think of the colors? What do you think of the application, the methods? Do you have any tips for me? I'm always all ears. We're always on a journey to learn all sorts of things. But that's it for me for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it every single time, as always, and I do look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.